Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today, we are working on our code visualizer, and today's task is trying to make it so that we can focus the graph on a subset of a project. So, uh, here is what we are talking about. This is a graph of our image editor codebase. The way that this works is we have walked the file system of our code base, and we say for every file that is a I think we should actually just say for every file. We should probably limit that to zig files, but we do say for every file. Um, for every file, let me open this file and parse it as a zig file and look for patterns of things that I care about. So, in our case, the patterns are unions, enums, structures, and functions. We look for each of these things and we say for each of these things, could you please tell me one, uh, who is a parent of me? And we do that by saying we've walked the AST with treesitter, and so treesitter knows okay, the function in it is contained in the type widget, which is contained in the file GUI, right? Those are things that it knows. And then we spawn a language server and we say, hey, language server, we know that there's a function here. Could you tell us who calls this function? And with that information, we can say, for each of these things that we found, throw them down on the screen. I don't really give a fuck where, right? When we first start this thing, they kind of just go wherever they feel like. And then we say, could you, every frame of this simulation, could you just say, yoink things that you think that you are referencing or that are parented? Could you kind of pull that stuff together? And could you also try to make it so that you don't all collide into one point. So it just goes everything in the world, let's just push that shit away from us. And then we also say okay, and then also keep things towards the center, because we don't want them to go out into the middle of fucking nowhere. And with those few rules, we get something that is kind of reasonable here, right? So what we're seeing is, um, like we should see modules kind of. So if I hover over here, this really broken UI element is kind of telling us that there's GUI source. We're here is GUI demo UI action. Over here we're seeing GUI demo receive selectable items. Over here we're seeing the stack widget. Over here we're seeing kind of text box, more text box stuff. Kind of general clamping of stuff. So we're seeing kind of modules start to show up, which is pretty cool. Over here we're seeing all of this stuff is text rendering. All of this stuff is kind of the top level application. Over here we're seeing resources that aren't really connected to the graph. Over here we're seeing specific UI stuff for the image editor. So it looks like the concept is kind of working. But you look at this graph and it's pretty, it's fun to look at, but it doesn't really tell us anything of value. The intent of the project as a whole is to try to combat a problem that I have where as we get farther into a project, it is harder for drive-by viewers to track what's happening, right? And so I would like to say that if the title of the stream is we're working on text rendering, when somebody comes in and they see us jumping around between files, we want them to be able to have some form of idea of where they are, right? So we should probably I want to add some sort of topic of concept of focus. So if we're in text rendering and we're spending a lot of time in text rendering, I want that part of the graph to be more focused. And the way that I want to do that is we hook up Vim to this graph renderer, and as we jump between files, that can provide information to the renderer of this thing. We've spent a lot of time here. Let's focus the graph. And so I don't really know what focus means. I suspect what's going to happen is things that where we spend more time, probably bigger. Probably things that are connected to places where we're spending a lot of time are shown, maybe. And maybe we show some flavor text along with that thing. Oh, we're in the text renderer. This shows text. Oh, we are in renderer. This is I don't know, we're in widget. This is the base type that all of our GUI elements inherit from. Something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. So I don't really know what it's going to look like, but I do know that I want to focus. So I think that the plan of action is to add some form of UI that will allow us to specify that some things are more important. Eventually, we'll hook it up to the editor, but for now, we'll just add some sliders. Then once we have that, then we can try to figure out how we want to visualize those things. And I suspect that we will be like, oh, that doesn't work good, and then we'll need to iterate. Um, just got here. Could build mass in the areas that are visited. That's kind of my initial idea. Yeah, mass or brightness, and with probably some form of thresholding to say that like things that are low mass probably just don't exist at all is probably where we'll go. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So let's start with like just adding a way to specify that there are things I care about. What is happening here? Seg fault because we are because we added a thread and that thread doesn't it just runs forever, including after we shut down the application because we don't join it because we're shitty developers. So we'll just say a work in progress initial commit checkpoint. We've been kind of working on this in the background, and we can just kind of move on from there. So, what is the play? What is the play? We want UI elements. There's a lot of stuff in the graph. So if we want to say like I want to say that main, the function main has some significance, I expect that we are going to have to search for that in some way. Probably makes sense. So what if we do something like this? We have like a search bar somewhere. What are the search? They draw like a little magnifying glass like that. And you type in some string here, and it shows underneath a list of things that match A, B, C, as well as like a slider for their weights. I think that makes sense. So everything starts at a weight of 1.0, and maybe then we go in and we say like, okay, well, I want to look at A, so I drag this to be like 99, right? And now all of a sudden this is 99 times more important than everything else in the graph, and we can leverage that in some way, shape, or form. I think that makes sense. So how do we do that? We need some sort of like search widget. And I guess we can just make it so that we don't need like a pop-up or anything, I don't think. I think that we can just put the search at the bottom of our like current layout. And when you type into it, just like if the length is non-zero, then you just get like a list. You just get like another widget underneath. Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. So we have text boxes. So let's just start there by like slapping a text box onto our little thing. What is our like top level widget right now? How are we rendering this thing? We have a stack widget here. And so a stack in our UI framework is like a bunch of things laid on top of each other, but like that all kind of have the same size. This stack widget has inside him probably some form of layout. So when we construct this thing, we say, yeah, here's my stack. I put a rectangle in him for a background, sure, and then I add this property list. So this property list is something that kind of looks like key val. I guess our search bar can just say like we could just add to that property list. I think that's fine. It's fine. So at the bottom of all this, can we just say like, I don't know, like search label is going to be something that's like make label search. Yeah. Fine. That's fine. If something goes wrong, we need to deinitialize this thing. So this thing needs to be tried. We need to de-init with the allocator that it was created with. And then our search content is going to be some text box. Yep. And he needs some way to ask the application what text to display in the text box. So, and he needs some way to request that the application does something when we type into there. So we'll get there in a second. But you know, say this works, then we de-init on failure, and we put these things in our property list. So property list add hello. What is the push widgets is what we called it. Search label and search content. Okay. So how the fuck does this work? Let's look at an example. Source. Where does this stuff go? I think it's in sidebar, like Svimp UI source sidebar, I think, is probably, here we go. We've probably done something like this in here. So can we look for text box? Here. So UI action, make edit name. This is the function that it expects from us. So we'll start there. We'll start there. So we have our UI actions in our visualizer. The way that like our GUI framework works is the widgets have ways to retrieve state from the application, as well as ways to request that the application does something. And so what we do is we say, okay, every widget might return a UI action, and we will like feed you a way to tell it like create whatever UI action you want. So we're gonna have one that's like make edit search, right? And then he's like, okay, well, we're going to ask you to process this list of key presses. The cursor is at this position, and could you tell us basically like what you did? So as we like go and we add and remove text, we tell the text box like, hey, we put in 5 letters here, so that it can like handle its like cursor adjustment. It's a little bit of a complicated one, but this like scheme makes a lot more sense when you're like on float draggers and you're just like, oh, the drag float is going to give us a float 32, so we'll just like update our value the float 32s, and then when he retrieves the float 32 the next iteration, the next frame, it will be like new. It'll be new and different. But for text boxes, it's a little bit more complicated, so it's a little silly, but it's fine. And we'll say we already called this edit search. Edit search is going to be something. I guess he's going to contain these 3 things. These 3 things, and we are going to apply the edits somewhere else. So notifier is a notifier. A position is, I guess, probably a usize. And the items is going to be, here are the key presses that we want you to stick into your thing. Okay. Now, when we do our thing now, we can, was it visit zig? Make text box. We can say that we are going to UI action make edit search. Thank you, kind sir. And then we also have to present the text somehow. So I think for now we can just be like var search content is this. And I think that if we just, oh, we have to call this something else. We need to call this like search text. I think that if I write this, I think that will work. I think. Okay. So now error union is ignored. Actually, let's do it like this. Make check. Is it strange to talk to yourself as a streamer? Well, I think the idea is that I'm talking to you guys, so it makes it a little less weird. For now, we just won't actually apply the search, the search change, because I don't really know what I want to do yet. Okay. Then this thing is actually supposed to be this. Fair. And then he's mad because this thing either has to be a string or have a get text function. So I guess we could probably support a pointer to a slice. So if child info is an array, or if it's a pointer and child info pointer child is equal to U8. And child info pointer size is equal to slice. Then we double dereference this thing, I think. Maybe we just single dereference. What if this, I'm not sure. Looks like that worked. So it looks like this is the case that we wanted, but a little tricky, Okay, so now if we just put that text, search text as like hello world, we're hoping to see a label that we can like type into here. Yeah, so we have this like search bar here, hello world. And it says hello world, which is a good sign for us. It's a good sign. So now we need to, actually, I think it probably makes more sense to do this as an array list, because I think that our text box class like area has a like helper function to get us out of this shit. Execute text edit on array list. It takes an edit array list unmanaged and just does whatever the fuck we need it to do. So if here we make this thing like a array list unmanaged of U8s, and then here we can say items like this, and that should be like kind of like the same shit. Then we should be able to go down here and just say like text box edit, execute text edit on array list, take in an allocator, take in the text input, and insert index. What else does he want? He must want like everything. Notifier and events. Okay. So if we do this, it should make it so that we can just kind of start typing in that box. Fuck. We have a bug here, I think, where, not a bug, we just haven't, done input handling there yet, I don't think. We're also, I think, not applying focus correctly. So I think we need to be like, on input, we need to be like, if action wants focus, stack widget set focused. True. Probably in reality, we can just always unconditionally set this thing to focus, but we can wait for him to ask too if we want. So hopefully now when I click here, the little cursor shows up, so that's good. But the text input still won't work because we're not sending key presses right now. So I think that that's an easy fix. I think we just look at I think it's like main here. We'll probably have an example of this. Yeah, here we go. Key callback. We'll just copy paste this into our thing. In reality, this seems like the type of thing that should be generic, but we haven't got there yet, so it's fine. It's fine for now. Error name here, probably. Yep, that'll work. That'll do, and then we just need to assign the key callback. So glfw set key callback to key callback. All right. What's happening here? Some print that I fucked up, probably. Presumably here. This is the only thing I added, so this I forgot to write squiggle braces. That'll do it. Okay, so hopefully now I can type into the box. Hell yeah, dude. Looks like that is working. Okay, so now let's make it so that when I start typing in here, if the search length is non-zero, we have to start doing something, right? So every time a key is entered, we need to like update, we need to present the widgets. We need to present, sorry, brain. We need to present the match results somewhere, right? So I think what we're gonna do here, we have this property list. I think that what I wanna do is I wanna put this property list in a layout. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have one property list of all of the like static stuff, right? So like, you know, A, B, C, D, right? And then we're gonna have like search. And then we'll put in another box a new property list of like matches, which is like this stuff. We're gonna put that here. And so to do that, I think that we make a layout, which is like basically like just put stuff next to each other, please. We are going to immediately put this in our stack. And I think we need to specify that this thing is in the stack at this like offset, I think. And we're going to put the offset is equal to 0, 0. So say put the layout at the fucking top, please. Then the property list, instead of getting pushed into the stack, gets pushed into the layout. Uh-huh. Okay. Now, who's pissed here? Layout probably needs like as widget here. Probably. And then everything should still just kind of work. So we should be able to type in this thing. I don't like that the cursor isn't showing up anymore. That's not good. There's a bug there. But I'm not really sure what it is, but it doesn't seem to be causing any like mega problems. So I'm gonna ignore that for now and just like mark that as something I'm gonna come back to. Okay. Then in our layout, we should be able to do something like we should be able to make like a second property list here. How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? Yeah, I think that I want to add a second thing to the layout, which is like the search match property list. And maybe we say like update search matches. Okay. And these somehow end up adjusting the something. So yeah, maybe like search match goes into the layout. Okay. Then we need some way to like reset this thing essentially, which I think doesn't exist right now, but we can easily add that. So this guy just needs a like clear widgets, or maybe like clear is fine. And he's just like self items clear chain capacity probably is fine. And then do we need to like clear some of our internal state here? We have like probably we reset a bunch of this shit. Probably would be my guess. So here focused ID probably just gets set to null because there's no elements in the array anymore, and the size probably gets just reset to like 0, 0. Probably, if that's what his size was before on initialization. And so now we should be able to like we should be able to go like update search matches with the search match, which I think is a pointer, so we can pass it in like this. And we like need to make this function, I guess. So update search matches, which takes in the property list. You know, like this. What is this thing called? Property list? Yeah. This. And presumably he also needs like the widget factory because he's going to be pushing widgets into this thing. Okay. And presumably he also needs the text that was matched. Right? And he probably also needs like the node database. Right? Probably. I guess also he must also need like the weights. Right? He must. He must. So I guess for now though, we won't do weights. We'll handle that shit later. For now, we'll just add labels for each of the items that matched. So I guess we'll say db iterator node iterator is db iterator, like this. While node iterator next, we have some form of node ID, right? And then we say like if we get the node like this, and we say like if the name of the node contains something, probably. So we say like std mem contains. What is contains? Index of? Is that what we want? Probably. So if this thing, if the name of the node contains the search text, then we add this thing to the list. So we just say like widget factory make widget make label, yeah, nice, of the node name, which should have a stable memory location, except for the fact that the DB is I think it should. I think it does. Except here that means we need to get node pointer. But get node gets us the node, and the name is heap allocated. So this, yeah, I think it's okay for us to do this. I think. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not okay, but you know, this is good enough for an initial attempt. And let's just get crazy, maybe, and just do this twice. Because our property list needs 2 items to get pushed into it. And I don't want to figure out the dragger yet. So I'll just write the name twice. Perfect. Perfect. And so now we also just want to make sure, like, if search, we need to reset the property list, which we called clear here. And then we need to say if search text len is equal to 0, we don't do anything. Right? Push or dinit widgets. Push or where is that? We could just do this and it will tell us. So he wants the allocator, probably. Okay. Who else is pissed? This guy has a lot of stuff he needs. So he wants the property list, he wants the widget factory, he wants the search text, and he wants the DB. Okay. Hello? What was he pissed about? Expected this, found that. Oh, sure. Sure. Array news ignored. True. And now he compiles. So there's like a chance that we start typing stuff in here and it starts working. Well, fuck. Integer overflow in the property list, because probably when we reset, the height gets set to 0 and the height is less than the item pad and there are no widgets in him. Probably we've never had a property list with no widgets inside, so he's getting a little pissed off. But that's fixable. Little saturating sub. Okay, so now if I start typing like GUI, looks like it's working. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely giving me what I want. If we do like app, we can't type capitals, which is not ideal. So let's see if we can we could just support capital letters. I don't really want to though. That sounds like work. We would have to like we could just check if key is pressed probably. If shift is pressed here probably. I mean, like how does GLFW handle shift? Surely it's a modifier, right? That's the wrong button. GLFW key callback. Holy shit, you're a wizard. I mean, sometimes it just kind of works out. It's kind of nice that way. Um, modifiers? Modifier bits. So we just check if it's shift, sure. So we say like in here, probably. If we are trying to say we have some sort of like key thing happening, we say, okay, we're in between A and Z. And if we're between A and Z, then I guess the base character is going to be if modifiers or what the fuck was this thing called? It was like GLFW mod shift. So if this is not equal 0, then the base character is A. Else, then it's capital A. Otherwise, it's lowercase a. Then we add the base car here. So we go like break, block, and plus base car. Seems reasonable. Hey, bro, what are you doing? And not or, no? True. That's a really good point. Thank you. We are working on our code constellation. So, fuck. What is it pissed about here? Whoa, hold on. This needs to compile. Can we just say this is like U8? Does that fix everything? It does. Cool. Here is our code constellation. So this is our image editor is represented by this graph. We've taken every function, every type in our image editor and like thrown it into this graph. We are working on trying to make this graph smaller, right? So if we look at every fucking function in our entire code base, that doesn't tell us anything useful. It's kind of pretty to look at, but if we were trying to use this as a way to convey information, it's just too much info. So we are working on trying to narrow this thing down, and so we are today adding like weights to the different nodes, and we were just trying to find a way to search for those. So text renderer. We were checking if we can type. Oh, we can type capital letters now. Hell yeah! So now we should be able to search for text renderer and add weights to it. We just need to add the combo box to do so. Hell yeah, dude. Okay, so we need to store the weights somewhere. So let's just say that we have weights here that I don't know. It's probably part of the graph, right? The graph probably needs to know the weights. Probably. And presumably those weights are mutex protected, right? If the simulation's running on another thread, surely when we update the weights, they need to be done under the mutex. That seems reasonable. So we probably need to allocate enough weights for everyone. So we can probably just do this. For each node in our graph, give them a fucking weight E. Okay. And how do we handle like copying this shit in and out of the graph thread? We probably want like our own copy of the weights externally. The weights are only ever going to be modified by they're going to be modified by us externally. And we're only ever going to put them into the graph section. So I guess what's going to happen is in the same way we have snapshot positions to get stuff out, I guess we probably have like snapshot weights here. But this is going the other way. This returns nothing. And we give it a bunch of weights to push in. So we say, here you go, bud. Could you fucking write these down? And he's like, all right, let's duplicate these motherfuckers. duped weights. And we'll be like, okay, well, we had some weights in here before, surely, right? So let's get those motherfuckers out of here. Okay. And then now we just copy the new ones in. Cool. Presumably the initial weights should be all set to 1. I think that's reasonable. And then we'll figure out the rest later. Cool. I guess technically it makes more sense to pass in the initial weights because otherwise we have to do this memset more than once. So I think it probably makes more sense to do it this way. Just kind of how it feels. Kind of how it feels. Let them get fat. Feed them with some more data. Data. Undeclared identifier. Init TL W. Oh. It's EI, right? I before E, except after C, and then sometimes in other words like weights. Oh yeah, what's the thing? I before E, except after C, unless it sounds like something like neighbor and way. So this is just like the neighbor case. Dude, fucking English, man. Fuck this shit. Okay. So presumably, if something goes wrong, we have to free the shit that we copied. This thing has to be tried because duplication is an allocation, and allocations can fail. This needs to write duped here. And that means, all of that means that we just store our weights over here in main. So wherever the fuck we store our search text, we can probably just be like var weights is going to be an alloc try. What the fuck did I just type? I've never hit that button before. So db nodes items len is how many things we need. And defer alloc free weights. Okay. So I think what's going to happen here is the weights get pushed into the node buffer. Nope, not the node buffer, the search matches here. Okay, which means that this guy takes in, all sorts of shit. Constant, probably fine. I don't think we modify them here. And so then we say, okay, let's just make a combo box for these motherfuckers. And the retriever is literally just like weights at our index. We're literally just like, yep, take a little peeksies at that guy. And then on select, I think we have like I added this like helper thing that says like make drag generator. And all we have to do is pass in like the tag of the type we want. So this is going to be like change. Oh wait, this is a little more complicated. So we need when the float dragger is moved, we need to tell him, yo, bitch, give us this action to perform when that happens. Now, the action to perform depends on which node ID we are looking at, right? So we actually need to do like something that's like node weight change generator action, we'll call it. And this guy's going to store, I guess, the node ID as probably a DB node ID. You talk to the functions module as occasion. Yo, bitch. Yeah, like Breaking Bad. That guy says bitch that one time and everyone loved it like 15 years ago. So he's like, I think the function he's looking for is generate to return a UI action. I think we'll see if the compile errors come out to say something else, but I'm pretty sure it's like this. And he's gonna say, hey, I have a floating point number to give you, right? We have to say, okay, change weight. And this weight change is going to not just have a floating point value, but he's also going to have which node ID, right? Like this. And then we should be able to just be like in here, we return change weight with ID, node ID is equal to this, the one we wrote down. And the value is equal to value. Bitch, give me an exe. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so now we should be able to construct this guy to say like, okay, when somebody changes you, give us a node weight change action with node ID is equal to our node ID. Seems pretty reasonable. Which means that we should be able to come down here and say like, change weight. When you ask us to change the weight, here's the new weight. Params, I guess we'll call it. And we'll just say like weights at params node ID is equal to params.val. Weight is what we called it. Which means wherever the fuck we wrote val a second ago is wrong. Wait. Okay, and then we have to copy those things into the graph. But we'll, that's fine. Graph, snapshot weights, like this. Fuck! We need to put the initial weights in here. Which means that this has to happen earlier. Or wherever the fuck. Hello? Graph init. There we go. Oh, we forgot to memset these to 1. Okay. And then make check. Boom. So this guy's pissed that, like, I actually don't know what he's pissed about. It's F32s. So it's Alec and F32s. Try probably is what he's complaining about. I could read the error message, but we ain't no bitches around here, you know? Fuck is he bitching about? Out of memory. Here. No? Why are we looking at combo box and selectable list? Did I just type the wrong thing when I said like widget factory? Update search matches? Did I use the wrong? Oh yeah, I just wrote make combo box for some reason. I want make drag. Okay, what's he pissed about now? He's saying this expected 3 arguments. Oh, the drag speed, sure. So 1.0, probably 0.1 is a reasonable speed. Probably like every pixel we move 0.1 of a weight. Non-void return type viz UI action implicitly returns. Did I forget to type return somewhere? Seems like it is. Did I fuck up here? So I return action generator generate. Oh, is it not public maybe? I think you have to write pub here for it to understand. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. So now I should see drag float values pop up when I type into the search bar. So if we look for like app, all of these guys have weights now. This is annoying. The fact that these things move, this like name field has to go lower. Or maybe we just get rid of that shit for now. Because that's fucking annoying. Can we just not do this? Just for now. Just for now. So let's put like app in here, and then these, looks like these draggers are correctly like storing their state, which is good. I think negative, for some reason I broke the negative rendering recently, which is a problem, but okay, cool. So now what? Now what? Let's just start by like growing the thing. So if we are looking at like, oh, we can't find the names of things anymore because I took that fucking shit out. Here's what we do. Here's what we do. We just make it so that our name field can't exceed the bounds of this like box or something. I think we can go like value box here is try widget factory make box, and we just put the value in there. I think that's how this works. We also need like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Here's what we'll do. If we are hovering, we'll just fix the fucking UI so that if we're hovering over the UI, it doesn't like trigger itself as find item under cursor. So can we just go like if widget bounds? Is this what we're using? Property widget bounds? Which is coming from stack widget. So we need to change the CCP. Stack widget bounds. Boom, boom, boom. So if stack widget bounds contains mouse pause of input state mouse pause, we only update the select item if this is the case. There. Otherwise, we say fuck it, which should stop it from like spamming name changes as we are working on this thing. So I go like app now. Yeah, okay. I mean, okay. We also need to check if we are currently clicked. So if this is not or and, the stack widget bounds does not contain the optional mouse position of where the mouse went down. That should make it so I can drag that thing off the edge here, and it shouldn't. There we go. Oh yeah, it feels pretty good. And then I let go, and then the name changes. Okay, sick. So now we should be able to be like, okay, what is this thing? Like, well, this is Squircle renderer. So if then we start saying like, now we should be able to like see that thing change. Oh, cool. Okay, so let's start now. Let's start just by visualizing which one. So we'll just say like, make it big. So that should be as simple as on render. We say somewhere, update node buffer. So can we take in the weights here as well? And just everywhere we use circle radius, we'll say like the default circle radius here. And then we'll be like const circle radius is the default circle radius times the weight. And I guess here we're going for positions and weights. And weight, this. Oops, forgot an S somewhere. There we go. And now on update node buffer, we pass in the weights on the right side of positions. Okay. And so now if I start like cranking the size, we should see that happen. I think. So like, fuck. Non-equal lengths. What have I done wrong? Oh. I see. This needs to be, we're only rendering one of them here, so we need to only render one of them. Fine, if you're gonna be like that. Okay. So let's like try to look at like GLFW here. And can we just like crank that shit? All right. Okay. That's kind of fun. And then can we look at like app widget? Okay. Seems like it's working. Just So it seems like we can apply weights and we can visualize those weights in some way. Now the next question is like, what do we want to do with that? I think um what do we want to do? So we could make the default point radius really small and then only show, then when we like increase the weight of something, it will get big and it will get interesting. And I guess if we allow it to get really big, like big enough, we could write the name of the thing inside the circle. That's like a possibility. Then we don't have to do like what I was initially thinking before was that you would have like a node here and you would write like app on top, right? But maybe this is kind of like a pain in the ass, right? Because like you have to make sure that like the text doesn't collide with stuff underneath it, or you render the text on top of the shadow, which we can do with our current text renderer, but like maybe it's just easier that like you also have to detect which things you care about naming. And so if you just write the name inside the node and you let the node get really big, then all of a sudden that problem goes away. I guess there's a problem where z index is probably not, we're not doing any z sorting right now. So probably we also want, do we want big stuff under or above small stuff? I don't know. And then I think that I also want to I want to like cascade the weights down a little bit. So I want like things that are referenced, like things that are related to me, I also want to be bigger. Is kind of how I'm feeling. It's also kind of bothering me. This is like, it's annoying that this is covering half the graph. So I think that what we're gonna do here first is kind of fix the UI a little bit, so that the sidebar shouldn't cover content. That's just kind of annoying. It's an easy fix, I believe. I believe that we just have to everything in our like graph rendering is assuming that it's working in a square. So I think that if we just make this thing like fatter, we make the whole window fatter. Then we can say like the sidebar width, I think we said it was 300. Okay. Then I think that we should just be able to GL viewport, do some GL viewport shenanigans to make everything else kind of just work out. So I think that, where are we rendering like circle prog render? Here. So I think we just say like sidebar width 0, window width minus sidebar width, window height here. And then when we render the widget, we actually just use like 0, 0, window width, window height. I think that everything just kind of works. Here we have a bit of a problem. So we'll just do, we just shouldn't render this shit over the fucking GUI. We should just render this stuff here. Okay, maybe we do it a little bit lower here. I think then everything it needs is there. What's language? We're working in Zig. Working in Zig. Okay, so that's a little better. This is broken now. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. GL viewport 0, 0, window width, window height. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, stack widget update. I don't know. This seems kind of reasonable as well. Hmm. Interesting. Where this render is using seems reasonable. Oh, here. This is using window width, window height. There we go. So some hard-coded constants. Bite me again. Much better. Much better. Okay, so now we shouldn't cover any of the content, which is huge for us. The mouse position stuff here on tracking this stuff is wrong. So it's now when we look for the node under the cursor. I think we actually don't have to worry about this like guarding anymore because it's not covered. And we just have to do find item under cursor. And we need to scale the mouse position correctly here. So we're going to go mouse pause minus sidebar width and use window width minus sidebar width as the reference here. And then I think it just kind of works out. Fuck. Right. Okay. So we'll say like, we'll do like this. Mouse pause rel graph is this. And then mouse pause rel graph 0 minus equals sidebar width. Probably float from int actually. And then here we say mouse pause rel graph. Okay. Does not support indexing, so this I guess says .x, not .0. And then I think that fixes everything. Yeah. That looks kind of right. All right. Sure. Looking good, looking good. So now that's fixed. Now we can like reason about what we want to do. So I think I want to start with like the point size. Actually, I think that's kind of actually in here. If we just like make all of the points kind of initially quite small, and then we say like text renderer. And we're like, just crank that guy over here. Like maybe we do something like this. It's almost like we want them to be like almost invisible. Right? Almost invisible is kind of nice. And then like this thing needs to get like quite large, I guess. Oh, fuck. That condition I removed is still important. Input state mouse mouse down location if this is contained by the like widget bounds, stack widget bounds. This is still important because it's we need to make sure that if we started a drag on the sidebar, then it doesn't like reselect the widgets and move the fucking shit around. Okay, so if we like text renderer, so we start with like a almost invisible point radius, really, really insignificant line thickness. Then we increase the size of the text renderer. I wonder if it makes sense to increase the strength of the line as well. Like, or if we just like make this thing like really big, it'll grab attention, which is probably good. Where it's pretty hard to miss this. Pretty hard. Okay. Can we make it so that things that are connected to us get big and are pushed farther away? I think we want push strengths and pull strengths to be multiplied by the weight of this thing. That's kind of like my initial thought. Why can't I grab this anymore? What's happening? Oh. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll add both conditions back. This is mouse pause. Okay. It's because like the fucking it's still trying to find things that are close by, and the names are changing, and so it makes it hard to select something. Okay. So we start like this. We say text renderer get big now. And yeah, I guess let's just try multiplying when we do pushes and pulls with this thing, I believe we do like half push and half pull right now. Right? So if we have like this thing references this thing, right? We say like we want these things to be closer together. Thea, what's up? What's up? Thanks for the raid. We kind of say that like we take this distance and calculate some like magnitude of pull between them, and we say apply that pull halfway here and halfway here. I guess what we could do is instead of doing that, we could do it as a ratio of their weights, right? So if this guy's really fucking big, we want like most of the application on this side. Just finished building Lego Assembly Square. Let's go. So in the graph, when we say calc pull, apply bidirectional pull here. Maybe apply bidirectional pull takes in like a t parameter that says how much is to go in each direction. And here we go like const. I guess we do like a math step here. Is the render shimmering or is video encoding or anti-aliasing? Probably it's just when things are like really small. They're like flickering in and out of existence if they're like between pixels and stuff, would be my guess. Would be my guess. Okay, so this is like lerp, linear interpolate between basically nothing and everything. So vec2 0 0 and pull. These are like the two parameters, and we are interpolating by t for 1. So if b is getting all the movement, this is the b pull, and the a pull is just the same thing but with t with 1 minus t. Right? I think that makes sense. And then this gets a pull, and this gets b pull. Right? So if b is really fucking big, it shouldn't move. This is backwards. Right? If we say, look, b is like 99,000 times bigger than a, which is what t is going to be representing, then we want a to move the full distance and b to not move at all. And so here, we need to pull in the ratio of like ref versus node ID, right? So we'll say that like ref weight is position weights ref value, and the node weight is weights node value. Okay, node ID value. Then here the t parameter is ref weight over node weight. No. Because we want t to be between 0 and 1. So clearly just like a divisor is not right. Clearly. So let's think about this a little bit more. Isn't lerping from 0 just multiplying? Yeah. I agree. I agree. Okay, what do we actually want here, though? So, we want, like, A, 100. B, 1. We want them to be out of the sum of their weights. Yes. So, A pull is going to be weights at A. So, okay, we'll call this, like, A weight is weights at A. B weight is weights B. Total weight is equal to A plus B. And then we want A pull to be multiplied by B out of the total. Yeah. A pull is equal to B weight over total weight. This needs to be kind of like splatted into a vec2. And this is multiplied by pull. Okay. Then B pull is the other way. So it's A weight over total weight times pull. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now this guy needs the weights here. Okay, which means that we need weights here. Uh-huh. Okay. This guy needs, what do we say? The weights was the third parameter? Which means that this guy needs weights, and I think in this we made weights the last parameter. I don't know. Might be nice to have some text in addition to the dots and lines without always displaying top level names. Yeah, I have to think about that. I need to decide if I want to put the names inside or above, and like there's just like things to think about there. But I agree, the names are definitely on the to-do list because it's not useful without them. It's incredibly necessary. Pole center I think doesn't have to do anything with weights. I think that like we all like no matter how big a thing is, we want to keep it towards the center. So that's kind of my guess there. Then on function step, we should be passing in the weights here. So we'll just say weights is the protected weights here, and let's just fucking see what happens. Okay, so let's say text renderer. Like we make this shit big. I guess we want things to get pushed. I guess what we want is not this. Right, so if this thing gets small, he kind of stops pulling stuff. Here he says like, okay, we're gonna pull more stuff towards me. But I guess we almost want his like push strength to be strengthened as well. Right, because we want things to kind of get pushed out of his center. Which means that like this like push nodes thing needs to maybe be different. I wonder if like apply bidirectional. What do we want to do there? We want, as things grow, push him hard now. So in this case, can we just like do the math here instead? So the weight calculations are going to be the same, but we're using I and J now. Okay. Now, in this case, we want the small thing to get pushed really far. Okay. So, which was also the case in pull, actually. That was the case in pull. So I think what's happened here is that with what we use bidirectional pull as a way to apply pushes, but the sorry, how do I say this? The direction of the pull is just opposite of normal. And everything else there should still work, right? Because we say we want small things to move a lot, big things to move a little. So it's just the fact that we need the push to be stronger on weighted things. Right? So it's almost like we need like push, we need to increase this push strength in some way, shape, or form. So we can assume that we're gonna take like the overall weight of A and B. I assume those are gonna be relevant in some way. And we're just gonna say like push these things farther. We want more space around these things, which means that we want this number to be bigger. So maybe we multiply this by A weight and B weight. Or maybe we multiply like this by a weight and b weight, or this. Push multiplier. So I believe that the push multiplier gets put into the distance here. I think that our push function is calculated as like, we can kind of show it. It's 1 over 1 plus x, I believe. Yep. And then we have multiplier and max. So this is max here. And this is multiplier. So if we want things to get pushed more for us, we could increase this, or we could try adjusting this in some way. I believe the correct answer is this one. This one. So we want to increase max distance in this world. So let's just see what happens if we do that. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Text renderer. It's working a little bit. I think we can see him definitely getting farther away from everyone else when we crank him up like that. He's definitely getting pushed out of the graph because everybody's applying a greater push to him. And that means that he just kind of will like trend away from the center. So I guess that means that the center pull that is supposed to combat that also needs to take the weights into account. So I guess we kind of do the same thing here where we multiply this by the weights of I guess here we can just put weights in here. So we say pull us back towards the center more if we're big boy. Which seems reasonable to me. What are we working on? We are trying to visualize our code base and narrow in on whatever we are working on right now, right? So we're going to hook this thing up to our code editor. Our editor is going to, well, I guess like what are we looking at? This is a graph of every function and type in our image editor that we're working on. We are trying to provide some form of like at-a-glance info. So the idea is that if we're spending a lot of time working in one function, that function should be like highlighted in the graph and his connections should be highlighted in the graph. We should see like something that allows us to at a glance say, oh, we're working on the text renderer and the text renderer connects to the text box and we're working on those two things and those are important. And so we're just kind of working on like graph layout today and trying to understand how can we focus the graph a little bit. So if we were to take this text renderer, make him fat, he does end up getting kind of shooting himself towards the center, which is nice. I would like to see him pushing things away from him harder, right? These things are still kind of all inside him, which isn't good. But they're kind of like, there is definitely more space than when he was smaller, right? Maybe not. It's kind of hard to tell. Kind of hard to tell. So he gets pulled into the center really strong, which makes a lot of sense, right? Now what happens if we try to like say that we're also going to work on like text box or something, right? Like we just crank this guy up as well. So he also gets pulled into the center. And definitely like the push strength between him and other people is not strong enough. But it could also be because like we're using the same value to crank up the radius and the push strength. But it does seem like the push strength needs to increase by a lot more. So what if we just, what if we just do this? Let's just throw some squares in there. I don't know, man. Because radius is, you know, something squared about radius, right? I don't know, man. Oh, that feels pretty fucking good. Look at that shit. Oh yeah, get the fuck out of here. Oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe a little aggressive. But probably fine. And then if we like throw in another thing here, text box. Text box. That's kind of sick. Kind of sick. Not gonna lie. Kind of sick. That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, if it gets too big, shit starts to like really hit the fan. But like, I mean, come the fuck on. Now, obviously, this stuff is getting like totally fucked, right? And like visualizing connections here is not really good. So what I want to do is I want to kind of have some sort of like decay. I feel like my immediate connections are maybe still relevant, maybe not. To be honest, like it's kind of hard to imagine if I am editing. If we flag node relevance, if we flag node relevance by how much time we are spending in that section of the code in the editor, then maybe just naturally all of the things that are important end up being seen. Now, I suspect that what we want to do is we probably want to weight these connection lines as well. And I'm not so sure how I feel about squaring the strength here either, to be honest. Because it feels like it's getting too far. Right? Like if I want to see like things that are nearby me, like can we just like add that like a weight push power as like a parameter that we can tune? Or do we like I wonder if it's not supposed to scale that way. Maybe it's like a multiplier? No. Some sort of power feels right. So git commits add remove lines. I'm gonna be. I want to do this based off of like current state all the time. I think we'll like add and remove just based off like. I think that we'll do something language servery, where like when you use a language server, the editor is constantly informing the language server of the edits that it applied. I think that we can probably like man in the middle the language server and get updates from the text editor in the same way and like apply edits to our graph in the same way. But we'll see. Okay, yeah. So let's say that like a wait here. Can we just say like a what stood math pow takes a wait to self wait push pow for now? I'm sure that there's a better way to do this, but this will work for now. And then here we want to do the same thing, I guess. So stood math pow wait self wait push pow. I guess the edges in a node I guess the more edges a node has, the harder for it to get pushed away. We do something to combat that. We have these like I don't really it's not like I have like a good feel for what we're actually doing in here, but we're supposed to divide these like max movement values by how many connections there are or how many nodes there are in the graph. So I think that has something. Some well-connected nodes won't get pushed away if a node gets bigger and is pushed to the center. Yes, assuming that it's not pushing too hard. I agree. I agree with that. Why is it not compiling? Pow probably expects a math F32 argument here. Yeah. Yeah, he does. He does. I get it. He needs to know what type he's working on. Fine. Fine. Okay, and then we just need to I think we also wanted we want to add this to UI probably. So make drag gen. Where's all these? Okay, can we just like what do we call this? Wait push wait pow. Wait push pow. Wait push pow. And then this can be change wait push pow, which means that that needs to exist in here. So change weight push pow, and then down here we need to apply that thing. So change weight push pow. I guess technically all of these things should be hidden behind the mutex, but probably it's fine. We're probably just getting some memory corruption, or like it's fine. It'll we'll be fine. Okay, so now if we say text renderer, let's just make that guy big as fuck, and then can we change the weight push pow a little bit here? It's almost like the center one needs to be different. He's going like way closer to the. He's getting like into the center. I feel like way earlier than he's pushing his friends away. You know what I mean? Like, why is like this gap so large? Which makes me think that we should have like a center weight push pow as well. Or maybe we just don't apply that to the center thing. Weight push pow. Can we just not apply that on the center pole and see if that change, like how that feels? This would be times weight. How does that feel? A little memory corruption doesn't hurt anyone. Oh, right. That's why we did that, is because he gets fucking hooked out to the side. So I guess we do. Maybe we just multiply. We're still multiplying by weight here. What if we just do like unconditional square here? So this guy get big, then we can like adjust this. Oh, that's interesting. Of course, of course. So as we increase the amount of push that he gets from everybody, the center pole has to combat that, or else he gets flown off to the edge. Of course. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So it does make sense for these to be like tied together in some way. Okay. I don't like what we're seeing though. I don't really like it. So what would I prefer? I think that I want a more aggressive fall off. Right, so I want him to push people strongly until they're out of his radius. So if I increase this push multiplier. Oh, that's pull multiplier? Where's push multiplier? This one? That does something for sure. What if we increase the amount of maximum push as well as the push multiplier? Which should kind of like the push multiplier makes like a more aggressive fall off from like the maximum value to things, but like it's still so annoying. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe more gap isn't the end of the world. Can we try, like, if he's a little smaller? Okay, let's go back to like our default parameters. First of all, smaller points by default. And then we do text renderer. We make him big. He gets yoinked to the center too aggressively, in my opinion. But I guess if we start adding like a second thing, maybe it feels okay. So let's try like let's say that we also have like app. I don't know. Yeah, what's interesting here is that now like these two guys in the center are pushing like super super strong against everyone else. Which means that like probably we need the weights to be related to the pull as well. Like we're kind of just we did do that though. We did apply bidirectional pull. Does weighted movement now. And but we're also maybe are willing to increase the distance for those as well, is maybe what we're arguing. So in the same way that we have like this like times weight push pow here, I wonder if like we do the same thing for like the regular pull as well, like pull references. I assume that if we do, I assume that if we do the same thing here, we're just going to be back in the same scenario where everything's too close. So we might want like a weight pull pow and a weight push pow. But let's just see what happens if we do that. Is this a Zorg session? Yeah, I logged into the wrong one by mistake. So now I crank up text renderer again. Oh, you know what? That's probably pretty good. GUI text, text renderer, text object. Wait, that's actually fucking exactly what we want. Right? Did you see that? You see it? So when it was small, he's like over here. And then we like make him big. And we see like the guys that he is related to also come over here with him, which is really fucking sick. That's pretty fucking awesome. So then if we like, let's try bringing this back down to 1. And can we try to highlight someone else? Like we want to highlight like widget. Or maybe renderer. Fuck. Dot renderer? App Fimp dot renderer? Here we go. So I say this guy gets big now, and he starts yoinking all of these guys over with him. So the guys that he pulled a lot are like other, you know, his children. That makes sense. And path buffer. I kind of want to I want to highlight his connections more than everyone else. I feel like that's what I would like to see, because like it's hard for me to visualize, okay, who's important to this guy. So I wonder if we can, in our like alpha, so when we draw our lines, I guess we just render our lines differently. We just render our lines again, but stronger, maybe? So let's say that like let's say that we have some sort of like uniform float alpha is equal to 0.01. We use alpha here. Then we say for the most lines, we say float equals the default alpha. Let's just make sure that compiles in 1 still. Okay. Does push strength have a decay curve? I'm trying to say basically weaker the further away. Yeah, it looks kind of like this. Kind of like this. So we have like these tunable parameters, and then this is how hard it pushes, kind of hand wavy. I think this is like divided by the number of elements in the scene or something as well, but it's something like this. The intent is that things that are, I should think, do we do this 1+ still, or do we take that away? It might be this. Yeah, it's just this. It's literally like we can have like infinite push if things are like directly adjacent, but I think we limit that with this like -1e -6 thing. We don't let any distances get actually to 0. So there's something there. Okay, yeah. So everything still works here, and then if I like crank the alpha up here, I assume that will have some sort of visible effect. I assume. Okay, good, good. That does, which means that we can render it once like this. Then we can render it once using only the fuck. I was gonna say we could render it like once for a stronger node, but the problem is that like every node has a strength. So we almost need to like pass the alpha, the like weight of the line as part of its vertex attributes, which we actually can do right now. We can hack it. We can hack it. So we're supposed to use UV coordinates in like our default OpenGL program. We like support like passing UV coordinates to the fragment shader. But what if we just shoved the weight in the UVX? What if we did that? What if we did that? Then here, when we say update line buffer, we take the positions of the weights. Okay. And then when we append line points to buffer, we say, please take the weight at node ID value like this, which means that this guy wants the weight to pass in here, and then we just kind of like slap that in the x coordinate of every single point in here. wait. We should not do it this way, but that'll work. So now I'm hoping that if we go into like text renderer and I crank this thing up, I'm not really seeing it. I guess we probably want like the maximum of this weight and the reference thing weight. Right? So like there's two sides of the connection, and we need like the bigger one to come into play. Can we actually make the alpha smaller? Constant color shaders. Can we just be like really fucking small? Can we actually just put like yeah, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so now we basically don't see anything. No connections shown. Wait, that's kind of working. That's kind of working. We see this happening now. Now, what's interesting is the stuff that he's saying that he's connected to are definitely not getting pulled close enough. So we're definitely seeing like some things, but it's weird that like, I wonder if it's like these guys are the ones that are getting it and we just can't see it because it's rendered underneath the point. So I wonder if we can just not make him thick for a second. Like, let's just not render him as really fat. And just see if we can, if that changes our perception of this a little bit. So text renderer, he gets big. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not crazy. That's not crazy. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think that the problem is that we just need him to push things a little bit more aggressively that are close together. Yeah, okay. I mean, we could also, I mean, this might also help actually if we go back to what we were doing, but we decrease the default point radius. That could help, right? So we say make things small by default. Then we get like text renderer. We kind of crank that guy up. Now this is a lot more reasonable. That's a lot better, actually. Yeah, the problem is that like before it was like this, and we kind of want it to be like something like this. I don't really understand why some of these guys are so far away still. But what if we... So why does it get to the point where he just gets like goes fucking flying? I guess because of the fact that we're doing like push power is like so high that like it doesn't scale the right way. It must not scale the right way with all the other nodes versus the center. So there's definitely like some different math that has to go on there. But I feel like we're getting somewhere. Feels like we're getting somewhere. So we go... I mean, that's... Go a little bigger. Okay. We could just reduce this push power a little bit. Okay, now what happens if we like try to say that one of these guys that he's connected to we are also working in a lot? So let's look at like GUI text in here. GUI text. So this guy gets kind of big as well. Is he not rendered as a connection between these? Not sure. It feels like we should be seeing some sort of like really strong line. Oh, fuck me. I just fucked that up. Okay, so clearly if we let the weight of something get too close to 0, we have like a fucking problem. So let's just clamp that shit so we don't make that mistake again. Maybe we say that the minimum weight is 1. We can only let things get bigger. Okay, text renderer. Well, okay. So far, so good. We will say we want the point size to be a little smaller. That also feels good. Maybe the line thickness goes up a little bit. And then we say, okay, let's throw a GUI text in here as well, which we believe should be connected. We crank this guy up. He pushes this stuff around. So like, what are we seeing in between? We're seeing like text buffers, text renderer stuff here. The common parts of GUI text are shown in between, which is kind of nice. I'm just a little concerned that I'm not seeing the connections here that I want to see. You know, like, why? I would have thought that like text renderer.zig directly references GUI text. That's what I would have thought. And so I believe that probably there's a lot of potential here for our data to be wrong. Like a lot of potential. And so the next steps are probably to try to visualize those connections a little better. And like, what's the play there? We talked about like fall off, right? So like weights of things are applied to their connections. How would that work? So we say this guy has a weight of 25 now. And I guess, do we like apply the difference of that weight as we go. Like if this guy has like a weight of like 20, this guy's a weight of 20, we decrease the weight of this guy down. Well, I guess we should actually use the numbers we're saying. So like this guy's a weight of 20. And we say, okay, he's connected to this guy. We want this to also be big, right? We want all of these guys to be big as well. A little bit. Maybe not like really big, but like maybe like 10%. It would probably make sense for us to apply those changes into the weights buffer as soon as we make the change, so that we don't have to do this like cascading reference calculation thing every time we use a weight. That would be too expensive. Now, if the value of the thing that we're applying to is 1, it's easy, right? We just say, okay, he's got like 10% of my thing. But like, what if it's not 1? I mean, clearly if I bring this thing back down to 1, he shouldn't be affecting his like neighbor weights. But we don't really know. We don't know if the neighbor weights came from a user interaction or not. But we can't. We can just write down, I think I have it. We have our weights buffer as the user modified them. We apply some sort of like multiplication with adjacency, with adjacent weights. For each weight that is not 1, if we say the minimum weight is 1, then everything is just a multiplication, I think. So if we want to apply like 10% of our weight, we take our weight over 10 to get 10%, and we just multiply that by the weight of the other thing. Yes. I think that's it. So we can say that these are like the like user weights, we'll call them. Okay. And then when we snapshot the weights here, we can apply the fall off in these as they go into the graph widget. No, because the weights are used somewhere else as well. We apply them somewhere else because they're used. This is your weights, but like on like render strength and stuff, we also want to use like the applied weights. Okay, so you have like user weights, and then we have weights. Yes. Okay. When we snapshot the weights, we use the normal weights. Everywhere we use the normal weights, except for on text, on like modification. Then we say for 0 user weights len, we look at like graph db nodes at this index. Okay. Ooh, we only have one-way references. Oh, that's annoying. Because we want, if we reference something from that guy, or someone references me, we probably want both of those things to grow. But for now, we'll say fix me bidirectional. But for now, we'll just do one way to see how it feels. And in here we go like for references. We just go weights. So I think we first memset weights to user weights, right? So we say copy the weights as the user put them into the actual buffer. And then as we go through and we look at the references, we just say that the weights at ref ID times equals our user weights at I times 10%. That should make it so that like things that we're connected to get big with us. I think. Why doesn't it like this? Oh, because we need mem copy. My bad. Ah, that feels like it's gonna be reasonable, but I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. That's not good. Oh, oops, this should be 1.1. My bad. No. So if this is user weights is 1, I think we want like maybe we want like user weights minus 1.0 times 0.1 added? Question mark? So if my user weight is like 10, my user weight is 10. I want 10% of the difference between them maybe added. Let's think about this. 10. 1. We want this to go to what? I don't know. 1.1 question mark? Maybe? What if this is like 2? If this thing has a weight of 2, I guess we want this to be like 2.2? That seems reasonable. Which means that I need 1 plus the amount? Question 1 plus 1 plus user weights I times 0.1? Question mark? That seems kind of right. So then if this is no, because if user weights is 1 now, I want no movement. God, sometimes I feel so fucking dumb. So, okay, user weight is equal to 1. We want times equals 1. That's simple. Weight is equal to 10. We want times equals something bigger than 1. Right? And then weight equals less than 1 is not possible. So, what is this formula? Because we also want it to be less than 10, right? So this felt like it made sense to me, but obviously it's wrong. I mean, you could do like -1 here. And then that gives you something that's pretty sane. Right? Because then when user weights is 1, this becomes 0. And this has no effect. And then as it grows, it has some sort of like ratio-based effect from that. Oh, fucking no, man. Seems kind of reasonable. Nothing's showing! Why? Am I fucking stupid? So this is 1. We get times equals 1 plus 0. Okay. User weights are initially set to 1. Okay. Weights gets copied in from the user weights. So let's just make sure if I do this, nothing changes, right? This should just kind of work. Oh, that's broken too. Why the fuck is that broken? Hello? That's not good. Okay. That's interesting. Oh. That would do it. That would do it. The initial weights weren't set. Much better. Okay. Let's go back to trying to do this, like, grow my friends with me type shit. So now I go into text renderer. I fucking crank that shit up. Okay. That's interesting. That's not behaving at all the way I want it to. We'll change that number a lot. I don't really understand why. Okay, so that guy got big. And do I see his friends ever getting big too? There is some growth there, I feel like. But now I kind of overcompensated. Okay, wait, yeah, here we go. So this is text object. This is the image editor. GUI. Okay. It could just be that we can't, there could be like some problem with too much numerical instability with like the power thing that we got going on. So what if we reduce the push power to like 1.3 or something? Okay, so this guy gets big, his friends get big too. And then we like slowly increase the push power here. Maybe. I mean, that's not absurd. Can we reduce the point radius here? I mean, I'm not like super against it. What if we start cranking up someone else as well? Let's look at like widget. Fuck. GUI source GUI zig widget. Here we go. So now he's saying like, look, I'm related to, wait. None of these guys are widget. Hello? Where the fuck is widget? Hello? Oh my god, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Can we like... Things are just like clamped in the corner, which is kind of funny. So there's some sort of like bullshit instability happening. But GUI source GUI zig widget. Okay. So no, I don't understand. Because I'm changing the widget multiplier and now I literally can't find widget. It's here. So somehow by increasing the GUI widget size, I've increased both his parents by more than him. So obviously I'm doing something fucking wrong here. Obviously. So oh, because there's duplicates. There are duplicates in here. So we actually want to make sure that we are checking how many references there are here. So we want like references set is an array or like a hash auto hash map of that goes from node ID to void. Okay. Then we just say like references set. Can we like put many? Is there like a put slice? No. All right, it's fine. Okay. So we like slap some stuff in there and we say like var refs once or whatever. I don't know, man. It doesn't really, I don't know. Key iterator while refs once next. Ref ID. There we go. What's he pissed off about here? Probably I need to put void on the other side because it's a map. Even though it's a set, it's still like kind of a map. Technically. Now he's pissed about like this thing not being variable. That's fair. That is fair. Okay, let's try again. So we were at a GUI Zig widget. There we go. So now it's the actual widget that's growing. And now we can crank up the like amount that he scales his friends. Because that was probably causing a lot of problems before. Okay, GUI Zig widget. Grow him up a little bit. Okay. Okay. Wait. That's kind of fucking awesome. So now we're seeing like basically everybody who implements widget has grown a little bit. And so now if we start looking at like label, like, do we see like some sort of like common people that are used by both? GUI is used by both, so he's grown more maybe. And like now if we start pulling in like, I don't know, button. You know what, that's kind of sick. That's kind of sick. So we're seeing like, looking at button, widget, and label, we're seeing like, okay, so like the demo file is kind of interesting. We're seeing some like boxes are starting to become a little interesting. I don't really know why. I guess all of these ones are the ones that are just by widget themselves. I think that we probably have a problem here where we probably need to increase the size of things that are like our parents and children as well. But I definitely think that there's something to this. I kind of want to increase this a little more. Maybe a 20% scale on our friends is reasonable. So let's go like text renderer. Sure, whatever. Let's decrease the default point radius here. Yeah, that's pretty fucking sick. So like here we're seeing like image object uses the text renderer. Like we see text object, we see widget factory. Oh, because he instantiates the text renderer. Text box, like cursor offset, GUI text. Yeah, I mean that's pretty fucking sick. Pretty fucking sick. And we increase GUI text as well now, and then we're like, yeah, I think there's definitely something to this. I think we need to get like the motion is nice to look at. Yeah, all of these guys like kind of slowly moving around is kind of fun as well. I think that definitely like figuring out how to label these guys and how to render their connections in a way that makes a little bit more sense is key. But I think as soon as we start showing like labels here, the concept is like there. I think also like the push parameter is probably needs to be tuned a little bit. And then I believe I actually think that probably starting with some point radius that's like almost like infinitesimally small. If we could scale these things up more without like the simulation going haywire, I think it would be nice to like almost not show the other things in the world almost at all, right? And then like kind of like grow ourselves because then you would have like a small subset, which is what we're shooting for, right? We're shooting for like limiting what we're looking at to just a little bit. So pretty happy with that. Things are starting to look kind of cool. Maybe still not useful, but definitely cool. So happy with that. I think this is a good place to call it for the day. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like what you saw, we stream most days at around 12:30 Pacific time to 4 o'clock Pacific time. It is 4 o'clock Pacific time now, so you should expect to see us online between 3.5 hours ago and now. If you are new here and you are like, I want to follow along with this project, there is a YouTube link in the Twitch description where, feature implementations will end up here. Sometimes we work on stuff that is not a feature implementation and it's not something that's like easily titleable and thumbnailable. So we kind of do that type of thing in this thing we call happy hour, which is the first half of the stream, 12:30 to 2. And if you want to see archives of that stuff, you have to go into the join section of YouTube or join on Patreon or sub on Twitch, and the VODs for those things will be in the appropriate places. Yeah, we do kind of like more like less, I don't want to say less interesting, but like less like structured work in that segment. So this morning or the happy hour today, we were working on refactoring the visualization code because it's finally kind of working, and just doing some cleanup and trying to get it committed. So that type of shit. Let's see. What else? The code for this will eventually end up on GitHub. I've been kind of like force pushing to the code map repo a little bit, so don't expect it to stay in its current form, but we'll try to start getting like proper commits going in here. And yeah. Otherwise, YouTube, peace out. Twitch, let's find someone to raid.